but can it replace a film camera? What up? Welcome back to the channel. Now you might be thinking, whoa, Robbo mate, that in your hand, that's not a film camera. And you would be correct. This is digital. Ooh, I feel unclean. Now this right here is a Ricoh GR3X. It's a digital compact point and shoot camera and has a cute little APS-C sensor tucked away inside this very small camera body. It's so cute. Who's a good boy? Now, I'm not going to get into all the specs of this camera because frankly, I don't really care. I have felt the touch of a woman, so I don't feel the need to bang on about megapixels on the internet or how sharp the lens is in the corners or any of that general neck beard sort of stuff. So why, as a film photographer, am I holding a digital camera? Let me explain. So I primarily shoot film. Yes, you would be correct in thinking that I did not get enough attention as a child, but yes, I do primarily shoot film photography. But I do believe that there is absolutely a time and a place for digital. And in my usual workflow, that is to provide backups to my film photography work. For example, I trust this Minolta Dynax 7 35mm SLR film camera to deliver, and most of the time it has, for all sorts of work. But if something goes wrong under the hood of this camera whilst I'm shooting, there's a reasonable chance that I will have no idea that this thing is broken until I get to the developing stage. So if I am shooting something like Halloween Horror Nights out in America and I don't develop that film until I get back to the UK, there's not really a whole lot I can do about it at that point if something has gone wrong. So I like to have a digital backup on me wherever possible, especially if I'm traveling. So I can dump the files on my laptop at the end of the day, throw them in like a Google Drive, and jobs are good and I know that they are safe. If I got mugged, I imagine it would be a bit of a day ruiner, but at least I could rest assured that my photos were backed up to like a Google Drive or whatever whilst I gently weep into a post-mugging consolation pretzel. Free tip for anyone traveling with expensive camera gear: stop trying to look like a photographer with your expensive bags and all that shit. The best way to not get mugged is to look like you are not worth mugging. You are welcome. That £500 bag in your basket right now that you're thinking about, don't buy that. So I have a £20 JanSport bag with camera cubes in it, and I'm yet to be mugged. I've said this out loud. I'm gonna get mugged. The second I leave this office, I'm gonna get mugged now. And I brought it on myself. I brought it all on myself. My current go-to for a digital backup is the Sony a7 III. You can see the appeal of the Ricoh already, I imagine. And whilst I was looking into itty-bitty little digital cameras, I stumbled upon something really interesting about the Ricoh GR. I saw people talking online about the film simulations on this camera and how they are as good as film. I know. The words like film, the same as film, as good as film, they do set off my gag reflex because they are two very different things. I think it is fundamentally unfair to compare the two. They are different tools for different purposes. But I have been throwing up photos from the Ricoh GR3X on screen throughout this video, and I'm gonna be honest, for me personally, I feel like this is the closest I have got to that sort of film look and more importantly film feel straight out of camera with anything digital. I've been carrying this camera around as just a bit of a daily carry, trying it out in all sorts of different scenarios just to see how it holds up, and I'll be honest, this thing has surpassed my expectations every single time that I have used it. It is probably worth me mentioning that I have shot a bunch of Fuji cameras and their film simulations and stuff are great, but there's nothing in their lineup of cameras currently that has anything close to this sort of form factor. And please do not get me started on the Fuji X-Half. It'll be a cold day in hell before I spend £700 or whatever it is on a camera with an LED flash and a fake hot shoe. Oh my god, why? It could have been so good, and I'm not bashing Fuji. I love Fuji, but my god, LED flash and then a fake hot shoe, so you'll never be able to freeze motion with a Fuji X-Half. What monster came up with that? I'd have loved that camera as well. Like, everything else about that camera is right up my street as well. Just, devastating. There are actually a bunch of different options with the Ricoh GR3. So I have the GR3X, and what that means is it has a 40mm equivalent lens. The GR3 has a 28mm equivalent lens. So they are the two main cameras in this lineup. But long story short, the main decision you have to make when you pick up one of these cameras is, do you want the GR3 with a 28mm lens, or do you want the GR3X with the 40mm lens? For me, it was quite an easy decision because there's a real magic to 40mm. Like, if you've never shot with 40mm before, pick up a zoom lens if you've got one, put it to 40mm and just have a look at some compositions. I really like it as a focal length. A lot of old film point and shoots naturally have a 38 or 40mm focal length, so it feels very familiar to me, but also it doesn't feel overly familiar, like you're pulling out an iPhone. 38mm, 40-ish millimeter, 40mm. Whilst I do own a bunch of 28mm lenses for different film camera systems, it's always just felt a little bit vanilla to me. It's all a little bit flavorless. Like, 28mm, in my opinion, isn't wide enough to have character, but it's also not got that charm of 35mm. So I've just never really gelled with the 28mm focal length, and that's coming from someone whose main lens, I'm shooting on one right now, is a 24mm f1.4. Most of my portfolio is shot on a 24mm. I just don't like 28mm. So weird. But if you are looking at picking up one of these cameras, the GR3 or the GR3X, then I'd recommend getting a zoom lens, trying out the focal lengths on the camera that you have available, or alternatively, even better, if you can go to a physical sort of shop and try out these cameras. That's probably the easiest way. I feel like the second you turn on both of the cameras, look at them, you'll know which one is for you immediately. But 40mm is quite tight for a daily carry sort of focal length. If I ever need a wider field of view, then I have got this gnarly screw-on fisheye. Now, most of the photos that you've seen in this video have been straight out of camera JPEGs. And all I've done is I've just set up my own black and white film recipe in the camera and saved this as the default profile for taking photos. Now, if you have a Ricoh GR3 or GR3X camera and you want me to share these settings that I've been using, then let me know and I will make a video about it. Now, I have been shooting RAW and JPEG at the same time, and what's really surprised me is how strong the RAWs are out of this teeny tiny little camera. I have paid nearly no attention to my exposure when I've been shooting with this camera, aside from, does it look good on the screen? Am I happy everything's in focus? Sound, bang, let's go. And these RAWs are coming up good every time. I've been slapping my usual preset that I made for my Sony cameras on these RAW files, and they have handled it no problem whatsoever. And I think these look really nice. Like, if I ever shot something and I was like, oh, I wish I had that in color, I'm more than happy that I can go and get that out of this camera. Does it actually look like film? And can it actually replace film? Listen, I don't think anything digital is ever going to look like film, really, because they're two separate things. I know we can get the same sort of colors, we can get the same sort of look, we can get all of that, but fundamentally they are two separate things. But that doesn't mean that one is necessarily better than the other. Like, there's a time and a place for digital in my workflow, and I imagine that's the same for a lot of people too. I just happen to prefer film. Maybe if I'd, felt the love of both my parents, then I might prefer digital. Who knows? Who knows? But I feel like these photos have the same sort of the film aesthetic, if you will, and more importantly, that film feel. Like, they do have that sort of aesthetic, I think is the right word to use for it. There are a lot of those sort of characteristics of how I like to shoot film, like the low contrast sort of stuff, the grain, the really raised sort of like black points and stuff like that, which I personally enjoy in my film photography. Like, those characteristics are here, so that it feels similar. It's not the same, but it feels similar. This camera is obviously not going to stop me from shooting film, but it is going to complement my workflow very, very nicely, I think, moving forward. I'm really stoked on this camera. I think it's like the perfect digital carry. Very, very stoked on it. It'll fit in literally any camera bag. It's super easy to just pull out and start shooting photos. Super quick, responsive. Love it. Absolutely love this thing. It's also worth me pointing out that Ricoh have just announced that they're working on the next sort of camera in this line, so the GR4. And I'm very, very excited to see what they do with that, because I'm going to want one immediately, I imagine. Well, there we have it. Thanks for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then make sure you like it. Consider subscribing to the channel. All that good stuff. Hope you're all good. Hope your dog is well. As always, please, a little scratch behind the ears from me. Thank you very much. Do let me know that you've done it, please, in the comments. Just confirm that the ear scratch has taken place. It would help me sleep at night, to be honest. And I need all the help I can get, let me tell you. I have a very fizzy brain. Fit check, baby. Oh, today is strong. Today is strong. We have this super gnarly Offspring Conspiracy of One tour t-shirt from 2001. Very sturdy. I'd have loved to have gone to that tour as a kid as well. Like, I was obsessed with the Offspring when I was a kid. Still love them, great band. But yeah, I always wanted to own some merch from this era and I never managed to get my hands on it as a kid. So this is me with adult money just buying shit that I wanted as a kid. So stoked on this shirt. Anyway, that'll do it for today. I think I banged on enough. So thank you for checking out the video. Hopefully I will catch you in the next one. Peace.